Hello and welcome to the WIHS Journal Public Affairs program. I'm Gerry Williams. Well, today you're going to meet Khalid McKinley and his mom, Rabina. Khalid is from Bloomfield, Connecticut, and he's now a worship pastor in San Diego, California. I had heard some things about Khalid and wanted to get his story. That's happening now on the WIHS Journal. It's news and public affairs. Out and about with Gerry Williams, and I am at the home of Rabina McKinley. Rabina was part of the Big Shot. She was the line producer, and many of you probably heard about the Big Shot, a pilot that was shot recently. It's a comedy sitcom, so it was Hollywood coming to Hartford. But the reason why I'm here at the home of Rabina is because she told me about her wonderful son, Khalid. He is a worship pastor for Faith Community Church in San Diego. He has a musical project out, and she told me about some wonderful things about him. And lo and behold, he's here for a few days, and I thought I'd come over and get his story. How you doing, Khalid?
I'm great. Thanks for coming over.
Now, you're born and raised right here in Bloomfield, correct?
Yes.
So you're a worship pastor at Faith Community Church in San Diego. How did that happen? A local boy out of Bloomfield, Connecticut.
Well, it's a long story, but the Lord sent me to Fuller Seminary in Pasadena. And then after that, I got called down to be the worship pastor at this church here in San Diego. He confirmed it 4 different ways. I always like to live my life and move according to the confirmation of God, the voice of God. And so if he says go, I know that I'm going to be there in the right place at the right time and doing the right thing. There's no safer place to be than in the will of God. So I always like to receive confirmation about where I'm going and what I'm doing and have clarity about the next couple of steps.
Talk about your journey of faith when you were growing up. Take us back to your first influences of the gospel.
My first influences, I would say, is definitely Archbishop Bailey here at First Cathedral, and then also my mom. Those two, without those two, I don't know where I would be in terms of my relationship with God. I did, of course, have to make it my own at one point, but those two structured the foundation that the building called Khalid was built upon. And I had one Sunday school teacher who was amazing, too, at the church, too. It was mostly just the Holy Spirit moving through Bishop Bailey and my mom.
If you're just tuning in, I'm with worship pastor of Faith Community Church in San Diego, Khalid McKinley. Go into more detail on how you knew that the Lord was calling you into ministry.
So I was in college at Hampton University, and I was at my college job, and a friend of mine who I had met basically once, so she was not really a friend, but she was an acquaintance. I was at my college job, and she asked me, Khalid, does the Bible really say that you're not supposed to have sex before marriage? And so I grew up knowing the Bible, reading the Bible, having the Bible read to me, and I just assumed that everybody knew what the Bible said about sex before marriage. So I laughed. I almost fell out of my chair at my job because of the situation. You know, people all around us can hear our conversation. That was just crazy to me that someone would ask that question. But she did. And she didn't really know me at all. She had maybe met me once. But she asked me, and I gathered myself together. I said, yes, the Bible does say that you're not supposed to have sex before marriage. But the thing that you need to understand about God is he is an entity that loves you beyond anything that you could ever imagine. And so when I said that to her, her face started glowing like someone just turned on the power to a Christmas tree. From ear to ear, she was just beaming. And that conversation led into studying the Bible together, reading the Bible, going to church. And at one point, she decided to move from Hampton, Virginia, back to California, where she was from. And so she wrote me 2 emails, and she said, Khalid, the words that you said to me were like seeds. They grew into self-love and love for God, and I decided not to kill myself. And I was shocked because I had no idea that she was suicidal. So for me, that was the real experience that I needed to push me over the edge and to show me that God was really calling me into ministry. And so when I read these emails, I was in the computer lab at my school, Hampton University. And I was surrounded by football players, and I was trying to hide behind the screen because I didn't want them to see me crying. And it was just a 2x4 experience. And I lifted my hands in my heart. I lifted my hands and I just said, Lord, if this is what you're doing, sending me into ministry, I'll go. I'll do it. And so the picture that was in my head was that this young girl was at the edge of jumping off a cliff. And God reached down through me, through my life and through my words, and pulled her back from the edge of destruction, back from the edge of jumping off that cliff. And so I said, if that's what a life of ministry is, then yes, God, I'll do it. I'll go, whatever you say.
That's an incredible story. You're also a recording artist. Talk about some of your musical projects and what inspires you.
When I first got out to California, I got introduced to the prayer movement. Pasadena House of Prayer, the International House of Prayer in Kansas City. Really prophetic, worship-filled movements. And I really just found myself there. It's just really a place where you can grow as a musician, grow as a person who's a lover of the prophetic, a lover of hearing God's voice. And so I did worship sets there for like maybe 14 years, something like that. I would do 2-hour worship sets, and a lot of my music was written there. Some of it was written in college, but a lot of it, 80%, I think, was written in the prayer room. We sing from the Bible. We sing spontaneously using or allowing the Holy Spirit, the spirit of prophecy, to sing through us. And so a lot of what I've written on this forthcoming CD is coming straight out of the context of the Bible and the context of worshiping God. Not like I go into my songwriting closet and I try to craft a nice song. This is coming straight from the context of really spirit-filled worship in community with other believers.
Now, Mom, you must be really proud of your son.
Yes, I am, without a doubt. I have always been proud of my children, and Khalid has always been the one that dances to his own tune. And if you teach him the word, he's going to follow it no matter what. And I've seen him do that his entire life. So sometimes you're a loner and you're standing alone because that's the way you are. But it's been to his benefit, and it's been to all of our benefits. So I'm very proud of him and very proud of what he's doing, very proud of him as not just a son, but as a father and as a husband, because he is an exemplary example of all of those things. And he's just a beautiful human being.
I understand he has a couple of songs out on iTunes, and he used one of your lyrics from one of your poems in one of his songs.
I know, I was surprised. It was one of my favorite verses, how Jesus came down and dwelt among us. And I think I must have been telling him about that one day, and next thing I know, he's using it in a song. He gave me credit for it, too. I said, wow.
Let the nations be glad and praise you, Lord. In all heaven and earth you are adored, singing glory to you because you came. Forever you shall reign, Lord. Let the nations be glad and praise you, Lord. In all heaven and earth you are adored, singing glory to you because you came. Forever you shall reign, Lord.
Talk about more what it was like growing up with him as a little child. What did you begin to notice about him musically?
He was always drawn toward music. He loved music. I think both of them are musically talented, and I think it runs in the family. I noticed Khalid, he was drawn to the piano. He was drawn to singing. And when they got involved with the church choir, especially at First Baptist at that time, I think that's where they first began to grow in terms of the music. He can correct me if I'm wrong. But that's where they met a lot of other like believers, young people their age, and they all hung together and they sang together, they prayed together. And I think that's where his love of the gospel really began. And that was at First Baptist at that time. And that's where I saw them grow into the young men that they are today.
Robina McKinley, mother of Khalid McKinley, and be on the lookout for Robina. She's got her own projects coming out, something about the Weaver birds, and we'll be talking about that down the line.
Well, we'll be coming back for another interview, right?
That's right. Weaver Birds. And that was Sister Robina McKinley, mother of worship pastor Khalid McKinley. Join me tomorrow at the same time for part 2. If you would like more information about what you heard today, call WIHS 860-346-1049. That's 860-346-1049. The opinions expressed are those of the participants, not necessarily of those of the staff or management of the station. I'm Gerry Williams for the WIHS Journal Public Affairs program at 104.9 FM, WIHS in Middletown.